Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another live Q&A. My name is Laken, and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to answer any questions that you have about goals, planning, life, whatever it is that is on your mind that you are struggling with. I am here to answer your questions on Wednesdays. The countdown started way after I did that whole intro spiel. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be there. If you're catching the replay, we may just be hopping right into words because I just realized that I was talking, it said live, but the numbers were not moving. You think after over 2 years of this, I would be good at knowing how to kick off the lives, but somehow I still do and say awkward things, even though I've been doing these for over 2 years now, which is just bananas to me that it has been that long. But let's kick it off with our first question that I always ask, which is what it is that you are drinking while we're hanging out. If you're here watching the live, hello, let us know in the chat what you're drinking while we're hanging out. And if you are part of the replay fam, thank you so much for watching the replay. I appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what you are drinking and or what you're doing. If you're here live and you're multitasking as well, let us know what you're doing in the chat. But especially if you're watching the replay, I know a lot of you will do something else while you're catching the replay. I just have a cup of coffee, my missus cup. We just hit 3 months of being married over the weekend, which just felt bizarre to me. Like, I cannot believe that it has been 3 months, but it's good. So I am just having some coffee and also my water nearby as well. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Cold coffee and water. Cheney, like cold because it was hot and now it's cold, or like purposefully cold coffee? Water, trying to stay hydrated while sick. Carrie, I hope that you feel better soon. That is the worst. Being sick is the absolute worst. A peach iced tea. Ooh, Crystal, that sounds amazing. Lemonade, tea, lots of tea and lemonade. It is like hot across a lot of the country right now. So I do understand all of the hot or the cold drinks to come back the hot. Meanwhile, I am drinking hot coffee, but I also have the air conditioning going. So that helps a lot. Lots of cold things and water. All right. Ice water and taco salad, Jessica. It sounds delicious. Cheney, yes, cold because it was hot and now it's gone cold. I get that. I've totally been there. All right, let's jump into it. What questions do you have? If you don't know how to phrase your question into a question, you just have a topic or something that you're struggling with, you can always put topic and then type it out. And as always, if your YouTube name, Facebook name is not your like first name or the name that you like to go by, please also include your first name in the question. That way I can address you by your first name. We'll do my best to pronounce everything properly, but I know that I mess things up. I know that. I have been on the receiving end of that as well. Even though it seems like my name is pretty straightforward to pronounce, I definitely get mispronunciations of it very regularly. So I totally get that. And it is absolutely frustrating when it happens. But perks of having a unique name, always on the pros and cons. I've never had the issue where like somebody else has my name and they have to ask for my like last initial, but also I have always had issues with people struggling it. I just realized that the logo was not up in the corner because I've been using this platform to film some fun things for a series coming up. And so I had the logo pulled down for those filming. So I'm excited for you guys to see those. And the first one will be up in like 5 weeks, give or take, 5 or 6 weeks. Exciting. All right. What questions do you have? What are you struggling with? What is on your mind? Oh my gosh, Crystal, I was in Girl Scouts for 12 years and they got your name right on registration once. Yeah, Crystal, I feel like is one of those names. They probably can pronounce it properly, but with the spelling, there's so many different ways to spell it for sure. Diane, do you find your Kanban board helpful? I don't think that's how you spell it, but there is definitely, I also struggle with the spelling of that. So if you do not know what I'm talking about, I did talk about my Kanban board on a live a few weeks ago. So I will link that if you missed that live. And then I also talked about it a little bit in my favorites video. I am still very much trying to find my footing with it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, the Kanban system is actually a system that was created a long time ago it's still TBD on where it actually stems from. I have not done any of that research. I learned about it from Cindy, who I talked about before. I love her channel. And she learned about it from Sarah from Heart Breathings, whose channel I also subscribe to. Blah, blah, blah. All that to say, I'm not quite sharing it in its own video, or not ready to talk about it yet, because I am still trying to figure out a couple of things that just don't quite work for me, or I'm still trying to figure out. And so I want to share it more once I kind of feel good about it. That said, I am finding it helpful. That's why I include it in my favorites video, and it is working for me. So if you want to try and figure out how to have it work for you, especially as it pertains to goals, I'd recommend starting with Sarah's channel from Heart Breathings and watching her Kanban videos. She's actually doing a series right now about how she uses her Kanban throughout the week and to set up her planner and all of those things. So Cheney, just a comment. I'm now on the Amplify train. I know we talked about this last week. I recently became an Amplify partner. It's not an affiliate. I just have a discount code and I get credit back. It's that kind of a setup. If you're interested in trying out the Amplify, I love mine. I use it daily and I love that you're using it as well, Cheney. I hope that the size, I know that's what we talked about last week, works well for you. Ariana, talking about what to do when someone consistently mispronounces your name, I usually just give up. Any advice? Well, I guess my question for you is, have you corrected them once? Because if you have corrected them more than once and it's not sticking, I also tend to just give up. If you have never corrected them, I know that it is the world's most awkward and uncomfortable thing for you in that moment to say, hey, I know that you've been saying it this way. And I know I haven't brought it up until now, but I just want to let you know my name is pronounced like this. Do it. It is, that one moment is awkward and uncomfortable for all of the people involved, but then it is all so much better. And everybody forgets about that one moment. However, going back to the first scenario, if you have corrected them multiple times and they still aren't getting it, I think that my advice here, it depends on how regularly you talk to and interact with this person. If it's somebody that you interact with on a very regular basis, it's maybe just a much more serious tone. That's this is how you pronounce my name. I have been in that case with in work scenarios where it's somebody I hardly ever interact with. And I've told them multiple times, but every time I get back to interacting with them a few months later, they still get it wrong. For those people, I just give up on it and I just don't care. I have a very vivid memory. I was an intern. It was probably about 10 years ago, this week. And as actuarial interns, we all got to have breakfast with the CFO of the company because he was a former actuary. So he wanted to always meet the actuarial interns. This is just a total tangent story. And he clearly had done a good job of looking at our resumes before we came in there, because he knew little facts and figures about every single one of us, which was very cool. But he also had clearly memorized our names and had memorized mine incorrectly. And so he continued to say Laken. And every time he would get to me, I did it 2 or 3 times, I think, in the breakfast. I corrected him and said it was Laken. And then eventually I just gave up, because when was I ever going to interact with the CFO ever again? And if he couldn't get my name right, couldn't get my name right. All right, Amanda. I just bought a bullet journal to use as a weekly daily planner because I want a weekly and daily, but I couldn't find what I wanted, so I'm making my own. That's fun. I mean, more power to you if you can stay on top of that. I think for me, as somebody who always wanted something to be perfect, having the freedom to redo it over and over again made bullet journals not work well for me. But I think for your personality, I think it'll work well for you. River. I'm assuming that's your name that you prefer to go by, which is very cool. We are doing Week in the Life for the first time. Can't remember if you've done one. Any tips or fun memories you want to share? So I only did Week in the Life one time. It was 2020, so it was kind of an odd Week in the Life. And I just realized that those, as cool as those types of projects like Week in the Life, Day in the Life are to look back on, for me, they just didn't seem to work. I would rather document the big moments, the memories. I think that my biggest tip for these kinds of things is to just, what is important about it to you? Is it important that you document what you were feeling at the time? Is it important for you to document what the world looked like at the time, right? Picking the priority and then making sure you follow that. I got back from a week's vacation on Friday and I still feel like I am playing catch up. Any tips on getting back into routine? Jessica, I completely feel that way. I do feel like when you go on vacation, it just doesn't help you for this one, but could help you for the next one, is already scheduling in that time to unpack and unwind and like get somewhat caught up before you get back into real life. That said, I actually did a whole video on this. So I filmed a day in the life, like the first day back from vacation in April. And so check out that vlog. That might help you at this point. I would just each day, what is the one thing I can do today to help me feel more caught up? Because at this point, now that you're so back into the rhythm of things, it's probably hard for you to just feel like you can do it all in one day. You know what I mean? So it's, what is the one thing I can do today to help feel more caught up? And then making sure you're prioritizing what's important and not like doing an all or nothing scenario with routines. I know that can be, for me, when I get back from being somewhere, I can go that direction where I'm like, well, I don't have the energy, or I don't have the time, or I can't do my entire morning, evening, insert whatever routine it is here. And so I'm just going to do none of it. Like, I know that's not the solution either. So what are the priorities? What are the things I have to do that are part of that routine? And what are the things that I can skip until I feel like I'm back on top of it? Amanda, I'm doing this round of HB90. So if you don't know what she's talking about, HB90 is the system that Sarah from Heart Breathings, that's why it's HB, Heart Breathings is the name of her business, it's like the course that she does to help you utilize her system and the breaking down of things, and then in turn, the Kanban board. The Kanban board is just one small piece of the system. I did buy the digital HB90 planner in order to help me think things through for my Kanban board, but I'm definitely not using the system to its fullest. That's why I didn't sign up for the HB90 course. Also, if there's a course option to do something live, I am much better about doing it live. And I know I couldn't do it this round, but I am thinking about doing it the September one. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so there's some other questions. Cheney also said she uses the HB90 planner in the system, but hasn't actually done the course yet. Only on day 4, but really liking it a lot. Yeah, it's definitely something to look into if you feel like you're struggling with breaking things down, and like it's almost a method of, it's planning and goal breakdown all within one. I really am using it more for business goals, not for anything personal, but never say never that I've changed my mind about that someday. Oh, here's another one. I did a round of HB90 with the course about a year ago. There's a learning curve, but was very impressed with Sarah's work. For now, HB90 is more than I need. However, I would recommend it to others. Yeah, I do. For me, I feel the same way about personal goals. I feel like for personal goals, it's more than I need. But for business goals, I do think that it's a little bit, it's helpful. Some of the mindset stuff is helpful. And so we'll see. I might do the course at some point. I know Cindy, again, who I've referenced, she has a video like talking about her thoughts about the course and has good things to say about it. So always an option. Not an affiliate. I know she has an affiliate program. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just sharing what other people are sharing and what I have learned from watching both Sarah's and Cindy's channels. Oh, Ray. Both babies are down for napping at the same time. That is a huge win. I'm glad you can finally join a live as well. That is definitely a win. Cheney, I do agree with it being more than needed for personal goals and great for business goals. Yeah, and I know that Sarah from Heart Breathings does use it as for personal goals as well. She has 3 main goals, but her 3 main goals are really her she's an author. So her writing business, her Heart Breathings business, and then her personal goals are kind of her 3 categories. And so she does use it for personal goals, but for me, it does feel a little bit too much. The way that I have 4 colors going right now. One is content. So all the content that I create for Plan with Laken, YouTube, Instagram, email newsletter. And then I have a color for what I'm calling Plan with Laken maintenance, which is like the things that I do every month, all of the Patreon stuff, all of the one-on-one coaching stuff, all of the maintenance things I do. And then I talked about this in my 2022 goals videos. I have like 2 Plan with Laken goals. One is a revenue-based goal, and then one is a systems-based goal. And so then I have a color for each of those. And so that's kind of how I have mine set up. I haven't set it up yet for this week, if I'm being honest. So that's on my list of things to do after this call. If you're in the Patreon community, I post my daily planner in the Patreon Facebook group every day that I use my daily planner. In case you didn't figure that out, Patreon members, if I don't post it, it's not because I planned that day and didn't want to share it with you. If I don't post it, I didn't use my daily planner that day. I do post it every day. I use my daily planner. I had planning out the week before the live. I just didn't get to it. So, yeah. I think it's because it's open-ended when it comes to personal, whereas Moxie Cultivate What Matters are guided. I agree. I think it's a little bit more. I mean, I do think the Cultivate What Matters system is not super guided. I mean, it encourages you to have 8 goals and encourages you to break them down monthly, weekly, and daily. And so I could totally do that on the Kanban, like in the HB90 system. I think part of it is that there's too many, right? Like I have 8 personal goals. I'm not going to give them all different colors on the Kanban board. But then if I put them on the Kanban board, they're not color coordinated. Whereas like on my power sheets, they're still color coordinated. Same thing I would think with the Moxie Life. You don't necessarily want to have all 8 colors. Like that's a lot. But I also like some level of color coordinating. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to my head when it feels like it's too much. I do see the benefit of like moving things down. But again, I could just check things off on my power sheets, right? It's kind of the same thing. Carrie, anyone have good suggestions on study tips? It's been so long that I properly studied. I'm struggling to do it on my own this summer. Yeah, this is a great question. And if anybody else wants to jump in, if you've studied for something recently or you are studying for something and you want to share your thoughts, Carrie, I will give you my study tips based on my experience when I was studying for my actuarial exams, which it has been a few years since I was studying, but I did study outside of my full-time job for a number of years. And the first thing that I had to figure out was the best method of studying for me. And everybody is different. And whether that is saying things out loud, is it listening to things? Is it reading? Is it writing? What is your form of learning? And make sure to incorporate that as much as you can. For me, it was always writing things down. So I made study guides and flashcards and copied things over and over again. And that was the best way for me to be able to study. I also would always set goals based on how long I wanted to spend studying, not what sections I wanted to get through. That way I didn't rush through sections in order to be able to check it off, or vice versa. Like I would finish the section early and then still have an hour until it was time to move on to whatever I was doing. And then I wouldn't I just felt like I was wasting time. So I would set goals based on hours. And in fact, I did just work with somebody one-on-one on a study goal, and that was how we did it as well. Now, she set a weekly hourly goal because that is what worked for her. She had 2 small children, and being able to work around them, she set a weekly study goal as opposed to a daily study goal. Figure out what works best for you. It could be a combination of both. It could be like a minimum daily study goal, and then also I'm working on this aggregate weekly study goal. Also, don't be afraid to change it up. Like if it's not working, like you don't have to commit to doing the exact same thing for all of the material. Like change it up if you need to. Here's some other comments on studying. Planning ahead has worked for me. I basically created a syllabus for myself, then made sure I put time in the calendar to sit down and study. As for the method of study, I read a section and highlight, rewrite, then notes. And yeah, Carrie, it's going to depend on what study materials you have, right? Do you just have textbooks? Do you have videos? Like what are the different study methods that you have? I'm going to come back to some of these other questions after we get through this studying conversation. I went back to school when my daughter was little. My most productive study sessions were always at the library. A great tip, Jessica. I also always study better at a different setup than my normal setup, right? Not trying to study in the same place that I would do other things. I don't know if you're enrolled in a course, but mine had assignments and things that I go in and then do. This is also great advice, Crystal. One thing that I've learned is make sure to take breaks. Binge studying leads to not retaining the information. I found that the Pomodoro method works for me, 25 and 5 and 50 to 10 study to break times. Absolutely. And they've said this a lot about the Pomodoro method. You've got to figure out what works for you, because 25-5 is like the average, like it works for a lot of people, but yours might be a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, but always remember to take breaks. And so like when we talked about the studying, setting a study goal in terms of hours, you could set them like this, right? My goal is to do 4 25 cycles, and that like per day or whatever it is. And that could be your goal. Megan, here's somebody else who just took an exam and passed. The exam I recently took at a paper study guide and an online study guide. The online study guide could read to me out loud, so I would listen to the study guide and read along with the paper version. It helped me stay focused because my mind would wander when I was reading on my own. I adjusted my plan as needed, with the end goal being the week before my test that I could review. Yeah, everybody is going to be different in terms of like how much time you want to review before the actual test. Is the test the set date? Are you in class? Like all of those things. This is also a great reminder. You don't have to study for hours. Small chunks work also. Yes. If you have 15 minutes here or there, like you can still get something done in that 15 minutes. For studying, timers help me. I would study 50 minutes and take a break for 10 minutes. It helped me focus knowing that the break was coming. Absolutely. Lots of great study tips there for you, Carrie. I hope that some of that is helpful, and good luck on whatever you're studying for. It's exciting. All right, I'm going back to the question I saw from Mary. My previous job in uniform, and now I'm working in an office setting. I'm struggling with a more professional wardrobe, business casual. Any ideas would be helpful. That's a tough transition to go from working in something where you had to wear something into you completely get your own options. So first off, Google business casual to get a feel for what it is. Also looking at what your coworkers are wearing, because truthfully, business casual, like every company can be a little bit different in terms of how they interpret it, especially for females or for people who choose to wear female attire versus male attire. It can be very different. I just had this conversation with my brother about like how in certain settings there's more of a leeway for one gender than the other. That said, what was the best for me with business casual was like I love Old Navy. Old Navy was my favorite place to shop. And I did a lot of like dresses and cardigans. That was my like go-to, but I also don't really love pants. But when you find something that you like, get it in multiple colors, and then you just have multiple options. And then also, I know a lot of people talk about the whole mixing and matching where you have like bottoms and tops. I have never personally done that, where you have like different pants and skirts and you compare it with different tops. That way you don't need as many things, because I always mostly just did dresses and sweaters. And then I would add tights in the winter. What are you reading? Diane, I am still reading the same books I was reading last week. I did not read as much over the weekend as I thought I would. So I'm still reading In the Flow for my nonfiction, and then Conversations with Friends for my fiction. I'm still not done with either of them. Couple more study tips. Making studying fun. Get a yummy drink, light a candle, buy a nice pen or highlighter. Totally. All of those things. A psychology tip for studying is to do it in an environment close to the exam setting. Interesting. I like that. Some more clothing tips. I had to start dressing up again for work, so I created my own uniform. Pants, shirt, cardigan, and just mix them up. Absolutely. Yes, I find a top that I like and buy it in multiple colors. I'm glad it's not just me. Amanda, my mother, who's not a planner, wants me to help her with projects in her house. She wants to just do whatever is most pressing, and it's driving me crazy that she won't make a plan. Not a question, just a vent. I mean, it is her house, right? So she gets to pick the order that she wants to do them in. I mean, doing them in order of most pressing is some form of a plan. You could encourage her to like write them down in that order and then do it that way. Also, though, if she only has you there for a set period of time until you leave, maybe it's what are the projects that are best suited for other people's help, right? Because I feel like there are house projects that you can do on your own and you don't need extra assistance. And then there's ones that you like really need another person with you. And so maybe it's making a plan to just do those while you're there. That's funny. Or it's just being okay with it until you're done. That's tough. My coffee is like the perfect temperature now. So many questions all over the place today. I love it. Studying, HB90, work attire. Oh, there we go. I finally told her I wasn't helping without a list. I love that. So she did what you said. She made a list of the ones that she needs the most help with. Yeah, I totally get that. Ooh, this is a good tip as well. I also go to Pinterest when I need outfit inspirations. The next thing might be a bit weird, but I tend to buy the dresses that Laken gets from Amazon. Same body type and style. Hey, I love all my Amazon dresses. I just talked about those in a favorites video. And then I made like an Amazon dress section on my Amazon shop. I love them and highly recommend if you are the same body type and style as me. And when I share these kinds of things, in case I didn't say this enough, most of the things I share from Amazon come in like a bazillion colors. So even if the colors or patterns that I have chosen for mine don't fit your color scheme, I would still click on it and just look at the color options, right? We can have different colorings, but you can still like the same dresses that I pick out from Amazon. Most of the dresses I've shared, also, if you are a dress person, Mary, would be great for business casual at work. I totally would wear all those dresses to work if I was still working in an office. Amanda, good question. Do you think you'll do some kind of traveling Kanban board for when you're traveling, not vacations, but parents' visits or something? So I don't really have any, given that I am kind of setting mine up a week at a time, and I'm not really traveling for more than a week for any of those things. No, I don't think I will ever do that. Because I'm not traveling for more than a week at a time. And so I would just set it up for 1 week, take a picture of it, put it in my planner, put it in my Google Cal, and then go on with it. So probably not. But I know that Sarah did. And that's how I got my idea of how to set mine up from Sarah, because she used the little plastic one as her traveling version. And I used the plastic one as my like all the time version. Cheney, I have a page in my planner using the letter size, moving between two houses. So that is important to you. Also, your Kanban board is just 8x11 photo frame. So she only does, for those who don't know her, a 1 week at a time. And I'm doing mine 1 month at a time. So yeah, probably not. I actually think I might change up my washi on there though, which I'm kind of like, I'm out of that silver washi. So I need to pick a different color, but I think I'm going to change mine up. Another reason why I'm so nervous to share about my system, because I feel like I'm going to change it pretty regularly until hopefully I just find something that works. Jessica, I love watching Laken's Amazon dress try-ons. I too am a similar body type and love Laken's style. Well, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are so kind and sweet. And I am happy to share with you what I find on Amazon in terms of dresses. I was just wearing the one I wore to the T, I wore again over the weekend in Chicago. And I was like, man, I kind of want this in another color. Although I will say that dress did shrink. I wish I wouldn't have put it in the dryer because it did shrink. And now it's a little bit shorter than I would like it to be. But yeah. Oh, yes. I still have the Post-its for the quarter, but they stay on the project planning page. Yeah. And that's something I have considered, is making the Post-its for the whole quarter and just putting the month on there. I don't know. TBD. Amanda, maybe you answered, but what's your candle? No, nobody asked. It's Endless Weekend. I just started it because my other candle ended last week. I kind of just picked it out of the drawer because it matched my sweatshirt. Katie, if they magically made your favorite pen erasable, would you want it? or does the permanent feel help you move forward in your plans more easily? First off, what a cool question. I really, really love this question. No, I think what you said in the second part, I think forcing myself to write in pen is, and not be able to erase it, I think is really important to my planning process. I would move things around. I would want it to always look perfect. And I have embraced being team cross off because of a non-permanent pen. So no, I don't think I would want, I don't think I would want it to be erasable, but that is a really fun question to think about. And for those of you who don't know, if you don't watch any of my planner videos, or I don't know if you're brand new here, my favorite pen is the Papermate Flare. That's my favorite pen of all time. It's the best. Oh, a lot of you love Endless Weekend. I'm not even sure. I don't know. I'm not good at knowing the names of like the candles. Carrie, I love, love, love my erasable pens. I frequently misspell things, so I need it. Yeah, I know a lot of people love erasable pens, but I could definitely see it making things more difficult for me if I could erase on a regular basis. Jessica, I put up a Kanban board last year inspired by Sarah and Cindy. Mine is a whiteboard about 3 by 2. Wow, that's large. I use washi to make sections and can peel it and rearrange when I want. I love that. Jessica, do you use yours for personal goals as well, or just for like a business related thing? Oh, Cheney. I know the names of my favorites, but I use wallflowers. I have wallflowers too, but I pick mine based on color, and I'll like go into the store and smell all of them. And it'd probably be easier if I just remembered. I think what annoys me is that the name of it is like, it's on a thing that comes off. Like it's not permanently on there. Oh, Jessica, for work only. Okay. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out anybody using it for personal goals. I mean, again, I would see the benefit of it, but it feels like a lot for personal goals. If I only put my work goals in my planner, in a planner, I forget them. Yeah. For me, it's not as necessarily about forgetting them, but it's either overestimating what I can get done, underestimating what I can get done, and then not seeing the progress. Like I like being able to see what I've accomplished. That's a big piece of it for me. It's my type 3-ness showing up. Amanda, I'm excited to be setting up my Kanban board. You're going to use personal goals because you're only focusing on one area at a time. Yeah, that makes sense. Are you going to use it, Amanda, for work and personal then, like on the same board? I like this conversation. I feel like today is very conversational where I'm like asking you questions back, asking you to answer me. Sometimes these Q&As are very just like rattling off me answering question after question. And sometimes like this week, they're very much, we're having a conversation. Of course, then I have to wait for you to respond. Katie sharing, I can very much see it go both ways. I misspell too, and my plans change a lot, but permanent can help others. Katie, yeah. So flipping the question back to you, would you say that if your favorite pen could be erasable, would you want that? Amanda, I think my 3 sections will be writing, YouTube, and health for my 3 big goals. Okay. So almost very similar to Sarah's then, where you've got like your 2 different businesses as their own sections. And then your personal goal just happens to be very focused right now. So interesting. I'm doing the Q3 boot camp this week-ish. Katie, I don't know what that means. And I'm still trying to figure out what I include for my goals. Sometimes it's just writing. Sometimes it's a bigger personal project too. I do know for a lot of you that are writers that I can for sure see why going through the course is beneficial to you. Not that those of us like me and Cindy haven't converted the Kanban and HB90 system to make it work for non-writing businesses and goals. I think, I don't know what part you are in the course, if you've had to pick the goals and you're just struggling to pick them out, or have you not gotten to that section yet? I still have to start, and it's going to take me into next week to finish. Got it. So you're not really doing it live with them right now, which was one of the reasons why I didn't sign up, because I was like, plus I was like, I think I'm going to wait until after our honeymoon. But I am thinking I might do because it's technically the Q4 one if I do it in September. Lisa, I am like you. I think if it was erasable, it would hold me back. I've been working on the Let Go of Perfect, and this is not what it's about. Yeah, I think that's how I would be too. That's why I need it. I need the permanent. I need to just force myself to move on. Oh, I actually only plan in pencil due to my dyslexia and constantly changing plans due to chronic illness. It works for me, but I do miss how dark it can look on paper. That makes so much sense. Have you tried the erasable pens? I know that they're not the greatest pen, but that might, like using, why can't I think of the name of that pen that's erasable? Oh, you're an alumna, so it's rare for you to do it at the exact same time as the current class. I do love that you can like watch it every time. Oh, the only thing that's live is a kickoff call. The rest of the week is like a teachable account. Got it. But does she encourage you to do like one per day for the week, like the week that it's live? Friction. That's the name of the pen. Thank you all of you for finding me. Why my brain could not find that name, I do not know. I remember trying them once, and I remember that not really enjoying them as a pen. But for you, if having the erasable, is really important to you, then I can see prioritizing that over the quality of the pen. But would that work for you over a pencil? It still doesn't. It's not super dark though. I don't know if that really solves that problem for you. I feel like we have lots of writers in this group. Lots of people writing things. I use friction pens almost exclusively, even the highlighters. I find that they work best for me. The only issue I've had is high heat will erase them, so no car leaving. I've heard that as well, especially if you live in South. Lisa, I don't like that I can see the indent for my writing even when using a friction. Yeah, I feel the same way. I have a heavy hand, and so if I use anything other than like a felt tip, you can see it ridges into the other side. I think also it depends on the paper, Jessica. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Sarah does tend to encourage you to do one module per day. It originally started as a 3-day course. That they only unlock one each day, and then the Facebook group and Discord group is more active this week. Maybe that was my thought, is that kind of you don't have to, it's not live except for the kickoff call, but it makes sense to participate live. And I knew this week was not going to work well for me. I also just feel like I need a couple more months of me trying it on my own before I can go through I feel like I will benefit more going through the course if I try it on my own a little bit first. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and I would have benefited just from going through the course. Maybe you're all just going to sell me on the course right now. Can I still sign up? No, it's probably too late. Oh, Katie, you've used them with your son. I should try them in my planner, but you have a heavy hand and the indents would bug you. Yeah, so maybe it wouldn't work. Depending on what planner you're using and how heavy the paper is, it might not work. But you could always just try it. Take your son's, try it on a note page and see how it feels and how it looks on the other side. And then maybe give it a go. See if it works for you. Janie, I feel the same way about going through the course. Maybe we should both jump in and do Q4. Oh, it closed on Sunday. She opens it around the first of the last month of the quarter. Okay. So like September 1st was when it would open, right? Yes. Okay. So I still have a month, 2.5 months to make my decision. I do feel like I've gotten a lot out of the planner and like reading through it and figuring things out, but I do feel like there's still some things that aren't quite working for me, but that could just be a me thing and not that I don't understand the system. We'll see. I do also know, like for a lot of you that are writers, I can really see the benefit since that is what she originally created the system for. So I see that. Fun. So many fun questions and topics. Anything else on your mind? That's the other reason I think I also haven't shared it is it does feel like a very niche thing. Like, I don't know if other people would care or benefit from me sharing my system because A, it's all about business goals. It's not really for personal goals. And B, it's very specific to that HB90 method and system. Jesse, should I wait to do Q3 goals when you have your mid-year refresh course or still on quarterly goals sessions? Okay, great question, Jesse. And I'm glad that I'm able to clarify this. So there are, I think this is what you're asking. So there is the quarterly goal session that is part of Patreon. That is next Saturday, June 25th. That is going to be us actually doing our quarterly refresh. That's when we're doing Q3 goals. We are going to walk through whether you use the Moxie Life or the Power Sheets or no goal setting session at all. We are going to go through a quarterly refresh and what that process is like. It's going to be very similar to the one that we did in March, but a little bit of a different take because we're halfway through the year instead of just one quarter through the year. But it's going to be very similar. The mid-year refresh course, I'm assuming what you're referring to there is the July 8th workshop. So that workshop is focused on follow through. I purposely wanted that workshop to be something very different than the quarterly refresh. So when you come to that July 8th workshop, whether you're a Patreon or not, whether you're a patron or not, if you're a patron, you did the quarterly goals refresh, whether you did it live on the 25th or you did it the replay at some point, you likely will already have all of your Q3 goals done. Great. The July 8th workshop is focused on follow through. What are the mindsets that we need? What are the tips, the scheduling things that we need to think about? What are the accountability methods that we need to talk about to actually following through on the goals that you set during the refresh session? So I hope that that clears things up. I'm glad that you asked because I did have somebody ask me this in a DM. So I don't think you're the only one confused by this. I should probably talk about this on Instagram as well. So again, quarterly refresh session is part of Patreon. Anybody who's a member of the $10 tier or up in Patreon, you can still join if you want to join. That will be next Saturday. That will be a 2-hour workshop on going through the quarterly refresh and setting your goals for Q3. The July 8th workshop is about follow through. Okay, I've set my Q3 goals. Now what? How do I make sure that I follow through on them for the rest of the year, regardless of what you have or haven't done so far this year? I hope that helps. Yeah, Sarah really encourages participants to customize it to work for you. Cheney, that was one of my hesitations with the course community. That would be more writer-based. I do think that there are a lot of writers that are part of the course in the community, but I think that Katie is right and that Sarah really does want you to change things up and make it work well for you. I think it's just like you said earlier, would we still get something out of the course that we don't get out of the planner because we're not writers? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think yes, given all the things that Cindy said about it, and she's not a writer. I mean, she has books, but you know what I mean. She uses it as a business system. Debbie, my daughter just left for 6 weeks of training in the California desert. She left behind her planner and she said, no, the last time she did, all the writing disappeared. Likely because it was an erasable pen. Yeah. Linda, I love whenever I see new systems that are working. I may not copy it, but I almost always get a nugget that can apply to my life and or business. That's a great point in sharing it, right? You might not necessarily take the exact system that I share and implement it, but you might get something out of it, out of me sharing it that you could apply to your own systems, to your own business, to your own life. That's a great reminder. Thank you. Katie, I love learning about the Kanban board from Cindy and Sarah. You set one up for your son and had to customize it for him. It takes some testing and tweaking. Absolutely. As with any system, right? Pretty much every system that you use in terms of like a planner or goals or any of those things, it's going to take tweaking and figuring things out to like trying new things to figure out what works well for you. Even using something like the Power Sheets, which have a pretty defined system, there are definitely things that I tweak about it and have changed over the years to make it work for me. Even this year, I changed something up from last year. So like, it's always a learning experience. That is for sure. And I think that's just a really good reminder, is not being afraid to tweak things. It doesn't mean that the system is not working for you. It just means that you might need to tweak and try something different to have it work better for you. And again, that doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that for your life, your goals, your needs, whatever they are, you might have to tweak some things. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good reminder. I really needed that water. I feel like I was saying a bunch of things and my throat was getting dry. All right. Any other questions? Anything else that you are struggling with? Anything else on your mind? It is the middle of June, so don't give up on June yet. Don't give up on Q2. Don't give up on June. But yes, we are about to enter talking about Q3 and what that looks like. I'm going to work on my Q3 goals this weekend, but that's because I always have to have them done before we do the Patreon call. I just like having mine done. So I'm going to do mine this weekend. Doesn't mean I'm giving up on June, but it does mean that I'm thinking about what my Q3 goals are going to look like, which is just, I can't believe it was already here. I can't believe we're halfway through the year. This year is flying, y'all. Flying. Amy, do you like the colored Papermate Flare pens or just the black ones? I don't really use colored pens, period. I just like writing with black ink. And I like colored highlighters. I like colored stickers. But I have never really enjoyed colored pens. I don't know. Ever since, when I was little, I guess I used, I had that massive gel pen set of 100 different gel pens. Other than that, I have never really been a colored pen person. Great question. Tips on keeping a skincare routine in the AM. I don't wear makeup, so it's not really a part of my getting ready for the day. So first off, keep it simple. It doesn't need to have a bazillion steps in it, right? The most important piece of the morning skincare is sunscreen on your face, and likely not a sunscreen that, you're not wearing makeup anyway, but makeup and sunscreen, you're usually not putting enough on. So don't you likely need a separate sunscreen. And then so if you're not putting makeup on and that's not your getting ready for the day, what can you link it to? You could link it to getting dressed. Even if you're not getting ready and putting makeup on, you're likely getting dressed. Can you link it to brushing your teeth? Can you link it to having coffee? Can you link it to putting your coffee cup in the sink or in the dishwasher? Can you link it up to sitting down at your desk, right? Maybe you sit down at your desk to work and you have your skincare in your desk drawer. It doesn't have to be in the bathroom. But linking it up to other things that you can do it as a part of. Cheney, I think you mentioned using the weekly page in your Amplify for journaling. How is that going? Yeah, I think that was in a vlog, a day in the life vlog. It's good. I do wish that it was just lines instead of grid. I don't need it to be grid, but it is working for now. That is plenty of space for me to just journal it usually takes me 3 to 4 minutes to journal and fill up that little space in the morning. And there is rarely a day that so I love my undated Amplify. That way, if I'm not using it, I'm not wasting a page. And there's rarely a day that I will use the Amplify planner and not do my full morning routine, and journaling is part of my morning routine. So it kind of works out. Whatever day I'm on, that's the day that I do. It can be a little bit trippy that it's not always like the weekly layout. It doesn't have days. It's undated, but it doesn't always line up, right? Like today, which was a Wednesday, but I'm doing it on the Thursday slot, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of that part gets a little bit confusing, but am I doing stream of thought or prompted journaling? Right now I'm just doing stream of consciousness journaling. Just whatever comes out of my brain in the morning. which sometimes is like, I hate journaling, blah, blah, blah. Debbie, is that aren't writers or business people, I'm sure we could still glean some things from it and put it to use. Do you mean if I were to share my Kanban system or if you were to like take the course? I'm not sure what you're asking about here. But I think you're probably right that other people could still glean some things, some benefits from it. But again, I still need a little bit more time with it for myself. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? Oh, totally, Katie. That was not my interpretation and not what I meant to say. Writers are absolutely business people. In fact, probably more so. Because you have to, not only do you have to write things, but then you've got to market the things for sure. There's so much that goes into writing a book that I can't even fathom all the steps and all of the things that you have to do for sure. I don't know if that's what she was saying. Any other last minute question? Oh, Lisa, do you have any highlights outside of your week outside of Chicago? Something that you're looking forward to? So since we last talked, I did hang out with my dance friends and that was very nice. And then something that I'm looking forward to, dance is kind of back next week. So we have auditions are not this weekend, but next weekend. Just I cannot believe it's coming up so fast. And so next week we have workshops all week leading up. Like we have they're $1 workshops. So if you are in or around New York City, if you're still listening to this live and you are in or around New York City and you like to dance, you do not have to plan to audition to come take the workshops, but they are all week next, like today's the 15th. They are the 20th through the 24th, like all next week. It's $1 per class. And it's just meant to like get you back into the swing of dancing and get all the kinks out before auditions on Sunday. So starting next week, back to dance. And I'm so excited. So that is definitely my highlight. It came up really fast. They turned that around really fast. The dates got released while we were in Ireland. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, here we go. We are dancing again. So much fun. All right. Let's flip it back to you. And I'm going to ask you my last question, which is what is one thing that you will do this week to make progress on your goals? It doesn't have to be huge, but what is one thing that you're going to do, check off? That may be not kind of, but one thing you will do this week to make progress on your goals. If you are here live, let us know in the chat what that one thing is. And if you are watching the replay, let us know down in the comments what that one thing is going to be. Will I be able to audition for TAP again? Yeah, I can. I definitely have the all A-OK from my PT. We'll see. We'll see if I do decide to do TAP or not. We'll see. It's batch week again. Yay. Continue writing your novel, hoping to finish the first draft in the next week. Katie, that's amazing. That's amazing. Work on paper clutter, finish one section in your textbook. Carrie, yes, I hope all those study tips help you. Schedule an oil change for your car because it's already time. The new car you just bought, it's already time for an oil change. That's amazing. Build shelves and drawers for your kitchen. That's exciting. And then you get to organize them, which is likely the more fun part than actually building them. I guess it depends on who you are. Some people I know, like my best friend whose wedding I just went to in Ireland, loves building furniture, loves it. It's like her favorite thing. She even referenced it in her, in their vows. It was funny. Film your sticker haul and sticker organization. That's exciting. Always love to watch those organization videos. Those are always so much fun. All right. I hope that you have an incredible week making progress on your goals. And if you are new here, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, I almost forgot that part before you head out, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're new here, click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching.